Kendra, it's good to see you again this week.
It's good to see you too.
Are you having a good week?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought we would start this week with the same activity we started last week, in which we talk about one high and one low for this week. Would you like to go first?
Can you go?
Yeah, I'll go first. Let's see. One high for this week is I got to spend some extra time with my family, and that always makes me really happy. And one low for this week, I think it's the same one as I had last week, and there's just some unexpected tasks I had to take care of and errands I had to run. Yeah. What about you?
Well, I got to hang out with some of my friends, so that was fun, and I didn't really have a low.
You didn't really have a low. Well, that sounds like a good week. Something else I've been meaning to ask you, how cheer was going. Is that all going well? You mentioned that you like cheer and that's going well?
Yes.
Good. And you had mentioned you play the piano, or you're teaching yourself the piano. Are you teaching yourself any new songs lately? Yeah? Oh, good, good. Do you want to share which one, or no? Okay. Wait till it's finished and it's a masterpiece. Okay, good. So last week we had the bag with the little questions. Do you want to pull a question out? And again, if you don't like it, you can put it back in. Do you like your question? Are you satisfied?
It's the same one we had last time.
Oh, okay. You can put that back in.
Okay.
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? Okay.
If you could have any talent, if you can have any one talent, what would it be? I wish I could do all those like flips.
That would be a.
Tumbling and gymnastics.
I would like that talent too. Yeah, I would like that talent too. It said why? Why would you like that talent?
It just looks like fun.
Looks like fun. Okay. If you could go anywhere, where would you go and why? If I could go anywhere, I think I would like to go to Ireland. Because the green hills and I don't know, there's something about the culture that I just really like, and I think I'd like to go there. Yeah. Now, let's pull another one out. You want to pull another one out? Okay. I'm going to pull the one that you had. I don't remember what it was. Is it a good one? Okay. Okay.
You can go first.
What is your favorite TV show or movie and why? I actually don't watch a lot of TV, but I do love to watch. I record Extreme Weight Loss, and I love watching it.
I like that show too.
You like that show too? And why? I really like seeing people achieve things that they didn't think they could. That they're set forth with a challenge, and they don't believe that they can do it, but then they find it within themselves that they are able to accomplish this goal. And I don't know, it's just fun to watch people achieve things that they once thought they couldn't achieve. Yeah. What about you?
If you were a superhero, what would your superpower be and why? I would like to fly.
You like to fly?
It would just be fun.
Yeah.
Look over the towns.
Fly. That's good. That's a good one. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on to our session. And I thought we would start by reviewing our session last week. And last week you had said you had 2 friends, is that right? You have 2 friends. One of your friends doesn't like the other one quite as much. Correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't like the other one quite as much, and was kind of avoiding her, ditching her, and maybe when you guys hung out, not really talking with her, and just kind of being rude, basically. Would that be right? Did I leave anything out that you can think of? No? Okay. And you had tried kind of ignoring it and pretending it wasn't happening. Did that work for you? No, it didn't work for you. And it left you feeling guilty and frustrated, I think you said? Is that right? Okay, good. So we set a goal for ourselves that you were going to have a conversation with her. And do you remember what the goal of the conversation was going to be?
I really wanted all of us to stay friends.
You wanted all 3 of you guys to be friends? Good, good. So I'd really We had talked about, you would start the conversation with, do you remember what you were going to start the conversation with?
I love you.
I love you, and I feel, do you remember that? I feel frustrated, or however you're feeling, and then you're gonna pull in evidence because you try to ditch out on your friend. Am I getting this right? This is what we had talked about? And then your goal was that you would all be friends, and so you said, I would like it if we could all be friends, and I think you even said, why don't you try it for a week? And then we said, you guys would probably get along because they both play
Soccer.
soccer, and there's something else they both.
They both love Justin.
Okay, good. So, what did you say to your friend?
I don't quite remember,
You don't remember the exact words? Yeah.
but I do remember the basics that we just talked about.
Okay, so do you think it was fairly similar to what we planned?
Yeah.
Probably, what, do you think it was anything outside of that, straight to much? Okay, good. How did your friend respond?
Well, she was not happy at first, but then she was like, okay, I guess like I'll try it out,
And so it's been a week and they've tried being friends, and how's that going?
It's going good.
It's going well?
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you feel like she's giving her the silent treatment or ditching out or anymore?
No.
How do you think your other friend is doing with it? The one that was being, I don't want to say picked on, but kind of being left out.
Now?
Yeah, how do you think she feels about the whole situation
I
now?
think she's more happy now.
Yeah, I would think it made me feel more comfortable. How do you feel about it now?
More comfortable.
You feel more comfortable. Good, very good. So it sounds like things worked out okay? Good, I'm glad to hear that. So kind of reflecting on our first session when you had the friend who texted you 20 times a day, and then your issue you had with the two friends. We had talked a little bit last week about the importance of being assertive and setting boundaries. And so I thought our goal for our session today should be that we should really kind of strengthen our assertiveness and practice setting boundaries. Because I think that teenage girls, sometimes I've noticed as I've worked in schools, I think sometimes that the teenage girls have a hard time being assertive sometimes. There's situations that they're put into, and I think sometimes that they might not actually be as assertive as maybe they want to be. So, do you remember when we talked last week what being assertive was? And if so, could you tell me what you think it is?
I don't really remember what it is, but I do remember talking about it.
You remember talking about it? Do you remember anything about it? Whether you don't have to remember an exact definition, but anything in particular?
Like facing the problem.
Like facing a problem. Good. So I'm thinking about your two situations, and when you faced the problem and you stood up for yourself. So being assertive is really, setting those boundaries and saying, this is what I'm willing to give in a relationship, and this is what I'm willing to accept. And here's our line. And I'm going to set that boundary, and when that's crossed, then we have to stand up for ourselves. So being assertive is really standing up for ourselves, and especially when those boundaries have been broken. It's kind of hard to be assertive sometimes, isn't it? Why do you think that some people are not assertive?
Because they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. They're nervous.
They're nervous. They don't want to hurt other people's feelings. Are those feelings you felt when you had both those conversations? Yeah. Nervous. You don't want to hurt other people's feelings. Maybe you don't want to lose the relationship, or you don't want to make. You want certain things to change, but you don't want to change the relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But why would you think, so we know what being assertive is. You're going to stand up for yourself when you don't want the boundaries to be crossed. We know why people aren't assertive, because they're nervous. They don't want to hurt other people's feelings. They don't want to lose friends. But why would it be important to be assertive? Why would you want to be assertive?
So you're not taken advantage of?
So people don't take advantage of you. Yeah. So that if I come into class every day and say, hey, can I borrow a pencil? And I borrow your pencil and I don't give it back, and tomorrow I come back in and say, hey, can I borrow a pencil? borrow your pencil and I never give it back, and this happens day after day, well, you're gonna be kind of frustrated, right? And you're gonna wanna say something. Otherwise, if you're not assertive and don't set those boundaries, I'm gonna keep taking all your pencils. And then when you grow up, you're a kid, it's a pencil, but when you're an adult, it's something bigger. Okay, so we know that being assertive means that we're going to stand up for ourselves and set boundaries, and we know that if we're not assertive, then people can take advantage of us, like the pencils that we talked about. Or if we don't learn to be assertive, then we go through life and the pencils turn into bigger things. And we talked about that some people don't want to be assertive because it makes them nervous, or they're afraid of losing friends. And so they're kind of scared, basically, to be assertive. But we know that the importance is that we're standing up for ourselves and listening to that voice inside of us that says, you know, what you should do and what really honors who you feel that you are. So I came up with an acronym called Speak Up, and it's going to help us to remember how to be assertive. So the S stands for stick to the point. So we're going to stick to the point so that when we are having that conversation with our friend, we want to make sure that we're staying on point, that we're not bringing in other situations, other conversations, other things that have happened, but we're staying right on point. Like the 20 text messages that you're talking about that she is sending you too many text messages, or that your friend, that she's ignoring your other friend and you're upset about it. So you're going to stick to the point. The S stands for stick to the point. The P stands for they're going to practice active listening. So active listening means that you're not the only one talking, but someone else is also listening. And then you change those jobs. So when you had the conversation with both of your friends, were you the only one talking? No, they talk too. And then you have to listen, right? And so when you practice active listening, it means that you're listening for the purpose of understanding, that you're not just listening to respond or reply. So we're going to, P is for practice active listening. And E is for something you're doing really good job of right now, is eye contact. So that when you're talking or when they're talking, that you're maintaining good eye contact. The A is agree to disagree. Sometimes as you go through these situations, your two conversations went well, but as you go through future conversations, they might not always go well. And so you're going to have to be okay at times that, you know what, we don't have to agree on this. I just need you to know how I feel, and I need to stand up for myself. And I need to let you know where my boundaries are. We can agree to disagree, okay? And the K is for kindness. It can be really easy for that conversation to become aggressive and to turn into a confrontation. And when you had your two conversations, could you see how easily, if you hadn't practiced that and remember we did the sandwich, positive, what we want to work on, positive. If we hadn't practiced that, do you see how maybe it could have easily become a confrontation? Yeah. So we want to make sure that we come at our front, we approach the situation with kindness. Because the truth is, we have the goal of maintaining the friendship or the relationship, okay? The U is that we want to use I statements. So can you give me an example of an I statement that you used on your conversation?
Sure, an I statement.
Okay. Where you start out a statement using the word I. Do you remember an I statement that you used? Do you remember what it was?
I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I feel uncomfortable. I feel upset. And so we talked about that when we started that with the I feel, they can't really argue with how you feel. So we're going to use I statements. We're going to keep this, again, to the point of the situation that you are trying to resolve, and really pointing out how you feel. And the P is something that we've done. The last P is that we are going to prepare. We are going to prepare or practice you being assertive, okay? Because had you gone into both of those situations cold and not prepared what you're going to say, I don't know that you would have had as positive as an outcome either time. What do you think?
I agree.
Do you think that would have been harder for you too?
Mm-hmm.
Good. So we have the S is stick to the point. The P, practice active listening, so that we are listening to understand the other person's point of view, not to just respond. The E is eye contact. A, we're going to agree to disagree. K is kindness, because it can easily become a confrontation, and that's not what we want. It's not our goal. U, use I statements, I feel. And the P's we're going to prepare, or I should also put on there practice. That way we know what we're going to say when it happens. So I thought that do you have any questions about this? No? Do you think those are pretty good ideas that to use when you go into those conversations?
Mm-hmm.
You used some of these, didn't you? Can you think of one other than the use I statements that you definitely used?
Prepare.
You prepared, good. Can you think of another one?
Mm,
Is there another one on there?
kindness.
I was thinking kindness too. Can you give me an example of how you were kind? Because I can think of a very good example. Both times you said the same thing.
I still want to stay friends.
I still want to stay friends. And you started your conversation both times with the same statement. Do you remember what that was?
I love you.
Yeah, and that's very kind, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so I think that if you employ these strategies, this acronym of speak up, in your assertiveness and conversations, I think you'll have a good outcome. So I have some situations on our pink cards here, and we're just going to practice being assertive, okay? So if you want to take one of the cards, go and read it to yourself, and then think about how you would handle the situation. And then tell me when you're ready. You ready? Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Can you go first?
Sure. You just entered into high school. Your best friend from middle school starts hanging around a rough group of kids, but she still wants to hang out with you too. You still want to hang out with her, but you don't want to hang out with them. So you have a friend from middle school, and now in high school she's hanging out with some kids that you don't want to hang out with because they're rough, they're making bad choices. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You still want to hang out with her, she still wants to hang out with you, but she wants you to hang out with her new friends too. But you don't want to. So what do you say? I think I start out with a kind statement, and I love your kind statement that you said, I love you. I still want to hang out with you, but I feel as if your new friends make me uncomfortable because of some of the things that they do. I would love to still hang out with you, but I only want to hang out with you. And I hope you understand that, and I really still want to be friends with you. What do you think? Do you think your friend would understand that? Do you think there's anything else we could add to that?
I think it's pretty good.
You think it's pretty good? Okay, I'm going to share yours.
You have been given a group project in science class, however your friend isn't doing much of the work and you are doing most of it. What do you say to your friend?
Have you ever experienced that?
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
You would say, I love you, but I feel stressed and frustrated that I'm doing most of the work and you haven't really done any. I would like if you participated a little more.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe if you want to tell them, I've done 4 pages and you've done 1. Just, kind of a measurement, gauge measurement. Yeah. How should we end that conversation?
I'm not sure. With something nice.
Something nice, something positive, something kind.
I'm not really sure.
Not really sure. I hope this doesn't affect our relationship. I still want to be friends with you. Yeah? Okay. You gonna pull another one? Let's actually have this situation happen to me quite often. Okay, do you wanna go first, or do you want me to go first? Okay, mine says, your friend always likes to talk in class, but you don't wanna get into trouble. Besides, you wanna listen so you can get a better grade. What should you say to your friend? I have this situation happen to me quite often. I have, my very best friend loves to talk during the staff meetings at work, and it makes me uncomfortable because I don't want the principal to get upset. And so I wanna listen, but my friend talks the whole time, and I don't wanna upset her. So what I finally did is I went to my friend and I said, Melanie, I love you so much, but I can't sit next to you in staff meetings anymore because you talk and I need to listen. Because see, my friend is very bright, and she could talk, and she could write, and she could text something and listen all at the same time, and totally be multitasking, and I can't do that. And so I told her, I have to really pay attention, so I can't sit by you anymore, but I'll talk to you afterwards when it's over. And it actually ended up working very well. She knows I love her, we're still very best friends, and I don't sit next to her during the staff meetings anymore because I can't. I won't be able to pay attention. You think there's anything I should add to that? No?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, your friend wants you to go to the mall. No, sorry, but you already have plans with another friend. She tells you to tell her that you are sick so you can hang out. Then you can go to the mall. This makes you uncomfortable. What do you say?
So you have two friends. You already have plans with the one friend. The other friend says, hey, let's go to the mall. Just tell her you're sick, and then we'll go to the mall. And so what should you do? What should you say?
You could say, I really want to hang out with you, but I've already, like, I love you, I really want to hang out with you, but I've already made plans with somebody else, and that would just be rude to lie to them because I love them and I also want to hang out with them.
Good, good, good. I'm wondering if even you could, if it's a certain type of friendship, you could even invite her to come along, like if they're friends, that they would get along. You know, or maybe if they don't even know each other, but they might, that they have common interests, like we talked about, or, arrange it for another day. Kendra, I'm really impressed with your answers to these questions and the strategies that you've been using to be assertive and set boundaries. So in the beginning, we talked about having a goal of building up those skills, and I am very impressed with your skills. How do you feel that we've done so far in building those skills?
Good.
Good. We're using the acronym in the situations. Do you want to do the last one, or are we good?
I think
We're good? You want to do it, we'll do it, but if you're good, you're good.
good.
Okay. So I'm thinking about next time, what do you think we could do to help support you in growing with your strategies and your skills and being assertive and setting boundaries? Can you think of anything I could do to help support you? Well, I'm thinking from my own experience and from an experience I've seen with other students that one of the hard things with being assertive is that sometimes we don't have the confidence inside to stand up and say those things. Do you feel that maybe that might be something you'd want to work on? Okay, so maybe next time we'll work on having confidence, building our confidence up a little bit more, because it sounds to me like you know what you should say, but I just have seen with other students sometimes having the confidence to actually say it is a different thing. Do you experience that? Would you like to work on that next time?
Yes.
Good, excellent. Well, so have a wonderful week. If you need anything, you know where to find me. And do you have any questions before we close? No? Okay, then I look forward to seeing you next week.